This is a deadly disease. This is a deadly pandemic.
California Governor Gavin Newsom said on Monday that COVID-19 has killed 4,000 Californians in the last 2 weeks and expects numbers to rise as a result of the holidays.
Okay, well, we anticipate the surge on top of a surge. It's going to put a lot of pressure on hospitals and ICUs coming out of the holidays.
Already with intensive care units stretching capacity, nearly 100 patients have been transferred to what the state calls alternate care facilities. And members of the National Guard have been deployed to assist overwhelmed medical staff.
1, 2, 3.
Meanwhile, a more infectious variant has reared its head in states across the country. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo confirmed the state's first case of the variant in his remarks on Monday, and that it is, in fact, more contagious. It still remains to be seen if the variant increases hospitalizations. If it does, Cuomo says it would be a, quote, game changer.
Warm embraces for Gulf leaders as they met on the tarmac after arriving in Saudi Arabia on Tuesday for a summit to end the long-running dispute with Qatar. Saudi ruler Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman greeted Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani ahead of the sit-down talks. Washington is keen to push for a united Gulf front to contain the actions of Iran. It follows recent breakthroughs between Israel and several Arab states. Before the gathering, Kuwait announced that Saudi Arabia, which along with allies boycotted Doha in mid-2017, would reopen its airspace and borders to Qatar. According to a senior US official, that agreement would be formally signed in the presence of White House senior advisor Jared Kushner. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain and Egypt severed diplomatic, trade and travel ties with Qatar over allegations that Doha supports terrorism, a charge it denies. The UAE and Egypt are at cross purposes with Qatar in Libya and over the Muslim Brotherhood. All the states are US allies. Qatar hosts the region's largest US military base. Bahrain is home to the US Navy's 5th Fleet, and Saudi Arabia and the UAE host US troops. Qatar says the boycott aims to curb its sovereignty. The other countries had set Doha 13 demands, including closing Al Jazeera TV, shuttering a Turkish base, cutting links to the Muslim Brotherhood, and downgrading ties with Iran. Diplomats and analysts say Saudi Arabia was pushing reluctant allies for the deal to show US President-elect Joe Biden that Riyadh is open to dialogue. Biden has said he would take a harder line with the kingdom over its human rights record and the Yemen war.
زیرسامانهایی که براش داریم پیش بینی شده، نصب موشک‌های مختلف، بمب‌های لیزری، بمب‌های اپتیکی و با ارتفاع
تمام پهپاد هم قابل انجامه. بدون اینکه شناسایی بشن عملیات انجام بدن، برد عملیات شروع میشه.
گروهان‌های اطلاعاتی رسانی فوق‌العاده کارایی داره. الان یگانه‌های ما مجهز.
A day after Iranian forces seized a South Korean-flagged tanker, officials in Seoul were weighing up on Tuesday whether to still send a senior diplomat to Tehran. Vice Foreign Minister Choi Jong-gun's planned visit for Sunday is up for review now that the tanker has been seized in Gulf waters and its crew detained. Tehran accused the boat of polluting the seaway, but the incident happened amid a spike in tensions between the two countries. Tehran is demanding Seoul release Iranian funds frozen in South Korean banks due to US sanctions. Choi was supposed to be discussing those frozen funds, worth some $7 billion during his visit. In Seoul, a foreign ministry official told Reuters, quote, "The plan is unclear as of now regarding Choi's visit." The detained tanker is called the Hankul Keimei and is said to have been carrying 7,200 tons of ethanol. It was seized by Iran's Revolutionary Guards and is being held at a port on the Iranian coast. South Korea's foreign minister is making diplomatic efforts to secure its release. The Strait of Hormuz lies between Iran and Oman, and almost a fifth of the world's oil passes through it.
Ethiopian police released Reuters cameraman Kamera Gamechu on Tuesday after detaining him without charge for 12 days. He was arrested on December 24th at his home in the capital Addis Ababa. Police had told his lawyer Melkamu Ogo that their lines of inquiry included accusations of disseminating false information, communicating with groups fighting the government, and disturbing the public's peace and security. However, Melkamu said he'd seen no evidence. Both the Ethiopian police and prosecutor's office did not respond to questions from Reuters on the reasons for Kamera's arrest and subsequent release. Reuters editor-in-chief Stephen J. Adler said the company was delighted, adding that his release today affirms he has done nothing wrong. Kamera will be reunited with his family for Christmas, which many Ethiopian Christians will celebrate on Thursday. They said they're preparing a special meal and in a statement thanked those who'd given them support. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has overseen sweeping reforms since taking office in 2018, including the unbanning of more than 250 media outlets and the release of dozens of journalists. But rights groups say press freedom has been recently eroded as the government faced outbreaks of deadly violence. Media watchdogs have reported the arrest of at least 12 other journalists in Ethiopia last year, 7 of them in November when a conflict broke out in the northern Tigray region. 8 of them are reported to have been released, with the rest remaining in custody. Police and government officials did not return calls and messages seeking comment. The government has previously said the nation is facing security threats and is committed to maintaining law and order.
Overworked, overwhelmed and sleep deprived. The reality of staff working at London St George's Hospital as they cope with mounting COVID-19 cases after the festive period. Chloe is a senior nurse.
The first Monday after Christmas and New Year's, and it's been one of the worst shifts of my entire life. Intense. I'm looking after many more sick patients than I normally look after. It's just overwhelming, the whole situation.
In England alone, some 27,000 people are in hospital with COVID. That's 40% more than during the first peak in April. Nurse Hannah says it's taking a physical and mental toll on her.
I personally cry when I get home quite a lot, actually, at the moment. Sleep, we're suffering with sleep problems, I think a lot of nurses and doctors at the moment as well. You just have to relax on your days off as best you can, ready, prepping yourself to come back again, is what I would say.
Our hospitals are under more pressure.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced a new national lockdown for England late on Monday. He said the highly contagious new coronavirus variant, first identified in Britain, was spreading so fast that the National Health Service risked being overwhelmed within 21 days. Dominic Spray is the Director of Critical Care at St George's.
We are having to think about whether we do cancer surgery. We're having to postpone cancer surgery because of the number of COVID patients we have in. So even if you don't think you are doing any harm by bending the rules a little, you are. It has a knock-on effect. And we are seeing the knock-on effect here.
Alongside the new lockdown, the UK is pinning its hopes on vaccination efforts. The country has begun rolling out 2 vaccines against COVID, and more than 1 million people have already received their first dose.
It's not a bird. It's not a plane. It's a drone made partly from pineapple leaves. The design is part of a sustainability project at Malaysia's Putra University, led by Professor Muhammad Tariq Hamid Sultan.
This current project is to transform these agricultural waste into a potential aerospace application, which is a drone structure.
Tariq's team uses discarded pineapple leaves to create the skeletons of aerial drones.
The most important thing of this particular design is we are using agricultural waste, which is we are transforming the leaf of the pineapple fiber into a fiber, and that particular fiber, who have been seeing that this fiber can be used for aerospace application, basically in inventing a drone.
According to researchers, drones made from natural materials or biocomposites are tougher, lighter, cheaper and easier to dispose of. Tarek says the drones are currently able to fly up to about 1,000 metres high and stay in the air for about 20 minutes. The pineapple waste comes from farmers in the Hulu Langat district, who would usually discard or burn the pineapple leaves after harvest. That process can cause air pollution. But now, farmers like Irwan Ishmael can sell their agricultural waste to bolster their income.
For example, 3 acres of this land may be able to produce 5 or 10 tons of this waste. And imagine, for example, that the price of 5 or 6 ringgit Malaysia per kilo, if you multiply by 5 to 10 tons, it means it will give a big financial impact to the community, especially the small farming groups.
Researchers hope the project, which was launched in 2017, will encourage other scientists in Malaysia to make good use of the waste.
The next step would be to develop a slightly larger drone to be able to carry some payload, which would carry some imagery sensor and even some other sensors some other payloads that would benefit the typical farmer around here. So our role here is to help the industry, help the farmers to actually explore into force IR, technology and innovations that would help them increase their yield and make their jobs much easier.